and record on this computer. Yes, we are recording now. Okay, so now it's time to start live on Facebook.
Here we are.
And yes, we want to share. We want to share this to our page so that our lovely Coastal Magic people can join us. Yes, we want to share this.
Sharing.
And sharing is important. So it's going it's always, there's always a little bit of a confusion about whether or not it starts first or the recording starts first or which part goes live when. It's crazy.
Oh, let's just hope.
Yeah. So we'll get it going. We'll get it going. I'm not worried.
No.
Reading challenge, Facebook Live.
I think we're good.
And we are going to go live.
I'm going up just a little bit. There you go. We're live. Oh, it says live, so we must be live.
Yeah. And that's what it is. I can never tell because this doesn't tell me it's live.
It just popped up on mine saying it's live.
So here we are.
Here we are. Hello to anybody out there, or if not, hello to Jennifer.
Hello,
it was just stuff.
I don't usually use the background, so it's going to take me a little while to get used to it.
I don't have a background. It's just my room. There you
go. Well, I don't have awesome books to put up on the wall behind me, so.
Ah, you like that? See,
I
there,
do like that.
there. I don't know my left from my right. There's one, and there's my other one.
There you go.
And there's Frida Kahlo.
There we go. All right, so for everybody who might be watching, now that we are actually live, I am Jennifer, and I run the Coastal Magic Convention, a author and reader event that happens usually in February in Daytona each year. But we are doing virtual this year, and part of our reading challenge leading up to the convention is talking to lovely authors like Miss Kwana Jackson here. So we are going to have a wee chat this evening about books and crafts and hobbies and all kinds of fun things. So if you would like to do a brief introduction, my dear, and we'll get started.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. I'm Kwana Jackson. This is my book, Real Men Knit. I write under the name Kwana Jackson, and I also write under the name, let's see, here's another one, the name K.M. Jackson. So I'm an author with two names, born and raised in New York, and I'm a mother of now young adult twins, so that happened really quickly somewhere while I was writing, and that's a little bit about me. Oh, I write women's fiction and contemporary romance, and I'm thrilled to be here. This is my first ever Coastal Magic, so this is really exciting for me, and unfortunately it's virtual, so let's hope
we're
next year it won't be. Let's hope and pray for that.
Absolutely.
So
that's the game plan.
Yes, I'm really excited to be here and to meet everybody.
Yay! Yeah, well, the hope is that we'll get all of you that we've had to rely on the internet for this year to migrate down to Florida in 2020. That's the goal. We'll see how that goes.
Let's hope it happens.
2022. Sorry, 2022.
2020. Yes, because 2020. Well, 2020
happened. Yeah,
2020 has happened. 2021 is in about a minute and a half, and 2021 is February. What is time anymore?
I know. We lucked out really well with our 2020 Coastal Magic because that was at the end of February, and it was right before all of the crazy happened. So we barely made it, but we did. So that was a blessing right there.
My last travel date anywhere was actually in Florida in February, right before everything happened.
Right. And, see, you should have been.
I should have. I was with some friends, though, and you know what? I will cherish that forever.
There you go.
It's like at least I got to be with some very cherished friends, and then
there you go.
And then I was nowhere. So.
Excellent. Well, yeah.
All right. Who was anywhere? No one. Yes.
No. All right. So Miss Kwana, I have it was referred to in part of the promo that this was going to be done late night style.
Late night style.
We're gonna go from topic to topic to topic. So I have my little cards like the late night hosts have The
Oh,
little
later
cards
on.
with the
Oh,
questions on the other side.
can I introduce my co-host? This will be my
Yes, you can.
co-host. This
Yes,
is my co-host Keanu, my sidekick Keanu.
there you go.
I should have gotten him a perch so he sits up higher.
Oh, that would have been cool. There you
He's
go.
cute.
Well, we can see him.
He's cute, but he's kind of quiet as
We can see
usual.
him.
So
You're the only person so far that's had a co-guest.
you stay
That's
quiet,
pretty
Keanu.
impressive.
So
Nicely
that's my
done.
co-host. He's just gonna sit on the side and crack silent jokes to me. Bye, Keanu.
That's perfect.
Stay
That's
cute.
perfect. Okay, so as I was reading through your bio, and it's something that I have heard before, you talk about briefly in other chats, but just in case any of our watchers and readers have not been introduced to you and your history, you started out as a clothing designer many years ago. So how did that happen? What drew you to that as a career to begin with, and what was your favorite thing that you accomplished while you were doing that part of your life?
Favorite thing. No one's asked me that. Look at you.
It's almost like I've done my homework.
You really did. In my bio, it's like I said I had two dreams, and I really did two dreams: to be a writer or a designer. I always loved fashion. I grew up. One of my aunts said, "You've got champagne taste in the beer budget," and that has never changed. Still have that champagne taste in the beer budget. I grew up looking at Vogue and all the magazines. I have tons of magazines still around me. And, growing up in New York, it was always sort of this fashion world and fashion sense. And I've always been a dreamer, and that's just the way I was. And I was always a reader of books and a reader of fashion magazines. And what happened in New York, you would be tested for different schools. You're tested for specialized high schools, either art, and many people have seen the Fame movie, and you would get tested for that, and you get tested for, say, art and design or fashion design high school and things like that. And I was getting tested for different high schools. I got tested for art and design. I actually, little known fact, we talked about this on camera, how much I cannot sing. Kooky girl that I am, I did try out for the Fame High School. Tried to sing the Irene Cara song. Why? I don't know, because I'm a nut. I was horrible. Just because, did not get in. I did get into art and design high school. Not the greatest drawer, but I had a little talent, got into that high school, wanted to go there. But I also got into Stuyvesant High School, which is the high school for math and science, gifted and talented kids. And because back in those days, I had a few more brain cells and could do
creative and smart.
Creative and smart. And when you get into Stuyvesant, the thing is, and you get into that school, you go to that school. And my mother's like, "You're going to Stuyvesant." I said, "I don't want to go to Stuyvesant. I want to go to art and design." But I had to go to Stuyvesant because, that's what you did. But I knew, even back then, I knew I wanted to be a designer. And I went to Stuyvesant, got through. I barely got through with all the really smart kids. But I was a smart science kid. I did love science. I did love math and those things, but I loved fashion design more.
Right.
Graduated from Stuyvesant. Was not as ahead as the fashion design kids, but I sewed for my test to get into FIT. I got into FIT. My test was a horrible portfolio because my art skills were not that great, but I hand sewed a very thick denim bustier, and it was 8 gourd skirt by hand, till my fingers bled. And they flipped it over. It was sort of a very sort of Project One-Way kind of panel. They flipped it over and saw that I did this by hand, and they let me in the school. So from there, I got into designing women's sportswear for very small houses that were not fashiony at all, not at all. And my biggest accomplishment there in fashion, I don't.
Or even just your favorite thing that happened. It didn't even have to be a huge accomplishment. Your favorite thing that happened during that time.
don't know, maybe, it would be great. Every once in a while, I would see some people. I became a head designer eventually, even though I worked for more budget houses, was seeing some of my actual prints that I designed with
Mhm.
people in Macy's. Like some of
Oh,
my designs were
cool.
in Macy's, and so going down and seeing things
Mhm.
that I had worked on, and I designed from top to bottom in Macy's.
That's cool.
That's a huge accomplishment. It's like,
Oh
I
yeah,
that came out of my head,
absolutely.
and that was down in Macy's, on a
That's cool.
four-way. So yeah, that was a huge thing. Yeah,
That is
I think
cool.
that was a major. I
That
loved it.
is a
Yeah,
major accomplishment. Good for you.
yeah,
Good for
that
you.
that was fun.
Okay, so how did we go from being a designer to being an author? Now, obviously, you said that they were both dreams. What prompted one to turn into the other?
Well, this is there are no accidents. I don't think there are. They're painful at the time. It feels like an accident, but I think things happen for a reason. At Stuyvesant, strangely enough, but not an accident. The late great author Frank McCourt was my English teacher who wrote Angela's
Wow.
Ashes. He was one of my English teachers.
Wow.
And yeah, it's kind of a lot. And he was a wonderful teacher. Every kid wanted him because he was as lyrical and as fabulous in person as he was on the page.
That's crazy
And he
cool.
taught Irish lit, and he just made you fall in love with James Joyce. He was just wonderful. And one day I was being like this, moping around. And he said, "What's wrong with you?" And I was like, "I'm poor." It's like such a teenager. "I'm poor. I need a job." So he's like, "Come with me, Kwana." So he took me down to the job board, and he just pointed to a job, and he's like, "Hey, you go here, call these people. You're a smart girl. You can get this job." And it was a job at a law firm. And I was like, okay, fine. This was my attitude. Okay, fine, I'll call there. I'll get the job. Because I just sort of had this fearlessness. Called there, got this job in bookkeeping at a law firm. And it was where I later met my future husband. I kept the job all through college.
Oh, wow.
And I worked there part-time because the woman who was the head bookkeeper, she was notorious for, everybody seemed to not like her. She was sort of they thought she was this mean curmudgeon thing. We got along famously. We got along perfectly fine. I loved her. And she loved me. She gave me any hours that worked with my school schedule at FIT.
Oh, that's
And we got
cool.
along great. And I liked working for her and going to FIT. And I ended up meeting my husband there. And I did that, and after I graduated FIT, I quit that job and ended up worked in fashion for a while, and had long hours where I would have to travel to Turkey and things like that. And what happened was I got pregnant with my twins and lost a babysitter and had to leave half an hour early in order to pick up my kids. Sad story was I asked my boss if I could take work home and leave half an hour early, and she said no. And that's what made me leave that job. And when I couldn't find freelance work, I ended up writing my first book. So that's my
Wow.
down and dirty story of how I became a writer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Talk about turning a curse into a blessing.
that's what happened.
Yeah.
Well, it took a long time to get published. It took me about 11 or
Mhm.
13 years and hundreds of rejections. But that's what facilitated it. Losing a babysitter, having a boss that said, no, you can't. And I said, I'll take the work home. But, my kids were already like in first grade then. But I said, I
Mhm.
can't leave my kids on the corner. And my husband had the better insurance. I couldn't ask him to leave the job because he had the better health insurance. And I was like, oh, well, what do you want me to do? Leave my kids standing on a corner?
Yeah, no. Not
So,
gonna happen.
yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, well, their loss and our gain.
Thank
Although I'm sure
you.
it didn't
Thank
feel
you.
like it at the
It
time,
didn't
but
feel like it at the time. At the time, it was quite crushing. But
yeah,
I don't regret it now. Life
right.
life is what it was, and the way
You
things
make it
happened.
work.
I thought I would get back to fashion, but I didn't. But I have this wonderful career now.
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! I'm gonna pause before I ask the
Yeah.
next question because I want to let people,
Is it a hard one?
no, it's not a hard one.
Okay. I
I
was like,
just want
should
to
I be afraid?
no, you're good. I want to let anybody who's watching that might want to participate towards the end know what's coming. At the end of our discussion, Kwana and I are going to do a little show and tell. She wants to know what everybody's favorite hobbies and crafts are, things that they want to do. She's got a couple things she's going to show. I have something that I'm going to show. If anybody else has anything that they would like to show, you can post a picture of it in the comments underneath the videos that you're watching. Or if you would like to, you can put a note in the video saying that you would like to show live on screen. Make sure you put it in all caps. I would like to be on screen. And we have DeLorean, who runs our reading challenge, is actually going to be looking for anybody who would like to participate on screen. And we will get you a link so that you can pop on and show us on screen. Now, obviously nobody has to do that, but if you'd like to, we have a way for you to do that. Otherwise, if you just want to put a picture of your hobby or your craft that you participate in the comments, we can go back through and scroll through those and look at those after the chat's over with.
I would love to see it. I love all crafty things. I will try anything, whether I'm good or not. I am a crafty trier.
Sounds good.
Decoupage, macrame, anything. Just let me get my hands into it. That's the type of person I am. I always have to be using my hands in something.
Mm-hmm.
It's so much fun to create.
Yes.
That's my thing. I color, I paint, I do this. Nothing. I'm no great artist. Seriously, I do not claim to be a great, but it's fun. I think it's so much fun to say, you started out with nothing, but you made something.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be the greatest thing in the world, but you did it.
Absolutely.
And you did it. It's wonderful. You created this, and anybody can create something wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, just in case anybody wants to participate, we'll start asking for people to post their things, and maybe if somebody wants to hop on live, we'll start doing that at 8:30. So it gives you about 15 minutes to get your stuff together if you want to do that. Okay, so back to books for a little while.
Back to books. Back to books.
Back to books. Your tagline on your website says, "Fiction that's for real."
Oh.
What does that mean?
You did do your research. What does that mean? I wrote that tagline quite a while ago, but it does mean something. I feel that my writing is definitely made up, though some of it might not be. But I'll never admit to it. I'll never admit to the parts that aren't. I'll go to my grave keeping that zipped. There's always a bit of reality in my fiction, because I can't fully escape from it. Where I am, there's always going to be a little bit of New York in it. Even when I leave New York, as I did in my Sugar Lake series, I made my characters from New York, because I feel like you cut my veins, and it's like, oh, here comes the New York. It's like, I love New York, starts singing out of the veins. I'm one of those people, and maybe one day I could try to write total fantasy or, paranormal, but then still it'll be like, a New York-based paranormal. Though I can escape, my mind always keeps running back. It's just the way it is. Even in my dreams, everything sort of just comes back, and there's just that always little bit of a thread. And maybe that's just because of who I am at my core, or maybe it's because even, me being a Black woman, when I even try to escape, the world always comes right back to me and says, well, you can't quite, sort of always reminds you of who you are, which is it's a sad thing, but that's just the way my world and my reality is. So though I write to escape in a certain way, and I always write romance, even when I'm writing women's fiction, there's, something uplifting and joyous always there. There's a thread of reality always in it. I can't escape it. Sometimes I find in my writing, and it doesn't even come out until way later. I might not think about it until the book's turned in, printed, done, and coming out later. And something will hit me, and I'll say, wow, I didn't even know that was there, or where it came from. And something from way in the past, and it's like, oh, darn you. And I'm like, darn you, Kwana, you really get on my nerves with that. And it's like, and I figure out where it came from, but it did come from a thread of my reality way back when. And it's like, wow, one day you really should pay for therapy and stop doing that. And it's like, well, you know what, maybe you shouldn't. Yeah,
I think a lot of authors do that. I think a lot of authors unknowingly build in things from their own history, or their own things that are happening in their own minds, or their own, subconscious or whatever. And they because I've heard other authors say the same thing. I didn't even realize that I had written this into the book until after somebody had asked me about it, after it had already been out. So I think that's just a thing. Being that innately creative, I think, just pulls it out of you.
I think so. I'm still building, with Real Men Knit, I'm still building this world with the Strong brothers. They have such different personalities and things like that. And the book's been out since May, but I'm still finding out so much about them. And and finding out a lot about myself after it's out. You
Right.
know, because I've said this one I've said the closest to my home. It's really, I mean, in my mind, the yarn shop is right up the street from where I
Right.
grew up, and I'm like, wow, and the people, it's things keep hitting me, and I'm like, well, you
Yeah.
really did that? Why did you do that? Oh darn, now I know why you did that. And it's like, well, well, now you've done it. Well, you
Yeah.
can't change it now because there it is. But
There it is. Yeah.
and it's probably best that I just went ahead and just wrote it and let it go and didn't think of it until then, because that would mean I censored myself maybe a little bit too much. So you know what?
Right.
Don't censor yourself and just let it go. So that's why I have that fiction that's for real tagline.
That's
You
cool.
know, and it's probably a good thing, because you know you don't want it to be too filtered. If you have it too filtered, it might get a little too watered down, a little boring.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So how many men have sent you pictures of themselves knitting? Or how many women have
I
sent you
searched for
pictures
them.
of their friends knitting?
I've gotten a few. Women have sent me, you know, a few, and it's wonderful. You know, I'm finding out there's so many more. There's more than I even I got my knitting. I'm like, don't you disappear. This is my current project. I'm like, I need every
Don't do that.
stitch. I've gotten quite a few. A friend of mine who has a husband who does wonderful crochet projects. She's so lucky. He's like a master.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm like, well, you have lucked out. My husband knits. I taught him years ago, but he fell off, and now with this series, I retaught him. So now he kind of does it for meditation.
Oh,
I retaught
nice.
my son, and I was lucky enough. I think I really believe the series sold because of my passionate agent. When I just sort of had the idea and pitched it to him, I never knew this, and he said to me, he's like, you're not going to believe this. And I said, what? He goes, I'm a knitter. And I was like, oh. It's like, I really got
That's
the right
amazing.
agent. So that was like my totally amazing thing. But there's turned out to be quite a lot now that I started looking online. I've had quite a few Instagram bloggers and things like that who have come to me through finding the name, and they
Right. Well, that's what prompted my question, because I think I remember seeing you sharing one or two pictures that you saw on Instagram, if I remember correctly, and it made me wonder how many more you had gotten that we just didn't realize.
There's quite a few, and they're wonderful, and they're so expert. I'm like, I have to practice more.
That's okay. Now you said your husband
great.
and your son knit. Have your kids read your book? At least
my kids have. They haven't said they have. They have not. They don't read my books because it's like kind of weird to read your mom's romances. So they read the dedications and stop at the dedications, but they share my books all over. My son, since he's 27 now, he puts my books in all his like chats and things like that.
Oh, fun.
He might be using my books as pickup, so I don't know. I don't even want to know. He's like, you know, he feels like he's like this cool all-rounder and stuff. He's like,
that's
so he tells a lot of people about my book. So
that is hilarious.
I will say that.
That's like the current equivalent of like taking the cute little dog to the dog park to try to get the girl's attention.
He's telling a lot of people about his mom's books. He's like, my mom writes romance books. I'm like, whatever.
That's hilarious.
As long as you make a sale, cutie, whatever, you know.
That is so funny.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't even want to know. And I think my daughter's not the hugest. My daughter likes fantasy and things like that. So she's not the hugest romance reader, but my daughter knits too. So my daughter's a knitter, and so she thinks this series is really cool. She didn't think it was the coolest until she saw one of the male Instagrammers who knits shared it, and that one, and she was so impressed by him. Yeah, she's called me screaming. She's like, he shared your book on his page. I cannot believe it. I said, see, I told you I was cool.
There you go.
So then all of a sudden I was cool when she saw that he thought that he knew me, and I was like, like, for how many years did I have to tell you I was cool? She was like, whatever. Whatever. So once that male knitter shared my book, then she thought it was really cool. So this series kind of did it.
That's funny. Yeah. That's funny.
But my husband did read it. My husband actually read it.
Nice.
My husband has read this one. He really enjoyed it, and my husband's a Mason and he's in a lodge. So quite a lot of his lodge brothers. He got a lot of his lodge brothers to read it, and they all read it and picked it up and took pictures with it. So
my gosh, that's funny.
I am on a crusade to get more men to read romance,
There you
and
go.
quite a lot of them liked it. So I've gotten a few more
Go
male
you.
romance readers. So yes.
Nicely done.
Thank
Very
you, thank you.
cool.
I'm very proud of that with this series. I think it might be. I think what got my husband to get more of his Lodge Brothers were the Timberland boots on the cover.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so they were all so supportive. I was really happy. All these lodgemen were reading it and they liked it, and so it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. We have a question that says, do you include any of your creations and knitting mishaps in the book as something that the character does? So
Um,
have you transferred any of your oopses to your characters?
I don't. This comes into, do I remember what I write? I do
Oh,
not know. I don't know if I have yet, but it might be coming up. Probably coming up. Maybe in the next book. Probably so in the next book.
yeah,
I feel like there's more mishaps, more people who fumble.
right.
Any fumbles in any books, those are mine. Any
Gotcha.
tangles, those are me. Any super
So
fantastic things, that's not me.
I was
Yeah.
going to say, so what about the successes? Have you made any of the things that your characters have made?
Well, hats, if there's like the simpler things, yes, hats. Well, I'll do a small show and tell now. And it was on the page, this little hat, like these
I
simple
saw
things like
that.
that. Yes.
Hmm.
And I know there's like little hats I would love to try, but I just don't have room. The yarn tree, but that I've seen somewhere else. There's a yarn tree, but I don't want to give any more away. If you haven't read Real Men Knit, that's
Yeah,
in
yep,
there.
yep.
Um, there aren't any specific patterns in the book. I'm thinking of what's in there because I know they talk about scarves, hats. There's a
Right.
beautiful shawl that something talk about, but no, I have not made that.
Gotcha.
I am working on one though. It's still on
Ooh,
needles. I am
very
working on
cool.
one, which could be. It might be done by book 2. I'm so slow. And by the time, I don't know, book 3, maybe
Nobody's
book
gonna
4,
hold you to
maybe by
it.
the time book 4 is out, maybe I'll finish my Real Men Knit shawl.
No, nobody's gonna hold you to it. It'll be
Yeah,
okay.
maybe by the time the last brother is done, my Real Men Knit shawl will be done. And
That's funny.
I should
That's
like
funny.
include it in there. It's gonna take me forever.
We'll ask you about it for the next book and see what the
No,
status
ask
is.
me about it for like 3 or 4. It won't be. I'm slow.
That's funny. That's funny. Okay, so speaking of your knitting, and we're almost time for the show and tells. We were going to
Cool.
look at show and tells at 8:30. So I do have another book question, but we'll save that for a little bit later if we have time.
Okay.
Right now, you have prizes that we're going to be giving away. That'll be announced later. We're not going to give it away during the video, but we'll have some prizes that will be given away later. But one of them you made.
I did. One of them I made.
I want to see this thing that you made.
It's cute. It's cute. Well, here's this little can you see it? It's a little owl bookmark.
Oh my gosh, he's adorable with his big old eyeballs. That is super cute.
Can you see him? So it's a little bookmark. I had him stuck in here so he stays, nice and straight.
That is super cute.
So that's going to be a little giveaway.
I like him.
Inside one of the grand prizes.
I like him. He's so cute.
Isn't he cute with his little eyeballs?
Mm-hmm. So how long does it take you to make something like that?
He might take me not too long. He might take me an hour or so, but he took me a long time to learn. He took me way too long. I just learned him this week.
Really?
So he took me about a day to learn. Yeah, I just learned him this week.
Nice.
So whoever wins him, he's brand new, and I just learned him this week. So he took me a few tries to learn. I'm sorry, he looks a little wonky, but he's a sweetheart because he's brand new and just learned this week. So he takes me,
he's so cute.
He's a cutie. And so he took me about a day to learn, and his little counterparts came out too long, and then a few tries, and then they came out wonky, and then I had to like seal him, and then he had to be sealed overnight with the little glue and everything. So he had to get cured overnight. Yeah, he's all good now. Now he's ready to go. So he only takes an hour to knit, but It took a long time to learn and a
Aw.
lot of trials and error. But now that I know how to make them, I can make them in like an hour, or probably even less, maybe 40 minutes or 30
Hmm.
minutes. But yeah, the trial and error to
He's
learn them.
adorable. He is so adorable. I
Oh,
like him.
Mr.
What do you
Who?
name him?
Mr. Who?
Mr. Who? Oh, well, there you
Mr.
go.
Who? There you go.
There you go. That's
Mr.
perfect.
Who?
That's perfect.
And he can fit in your book. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so DeLorean's going to let us know if there's anybody else who wants to do a show and tell. Obviously, nobody has
Surely.
to, but if you have something you'd like to share, she will let us know. So we'll be listening for a ping on that. In the meantime, though, back to books for a little bit longer, and then we'll look at the other things that you have to show and tell. The next book of
We'll see how Kwana
yours.
has zero shame.
No, that's okay. That's okay. The next book of yours that's actually on my TBR. Well, I have two of yours that are on my TBR that we'll be reading very soon. One of them is a piece that you have in a novella, or excuse me, in an anthology for Christmas. So we'll talk about that in a second. But the Sugar Lake novels, the first book, As Good as the First Time, is the next one I think of yours that I want to read. So, and that's got food in it. So you've got knitting in this one, and you've got food in that one. So, are you a baker or a cook? Do you have interest in foodie things?
I have interest in eating things. But we'll put it this way. My late Nana would say, one of her things that she said to me, she's like, when she tastes my green beans, and they're good. She's like, she very Nana-ish. Let me taste these not quite, these slightly undercooked string beans, and she tastes them. Oh, these are good, Kwana, but you'd be a great cook if you cooked with love. This is what she said to me. And I said, well, I guess I'm never going to be a great cook, Nana, because I don't love to cook.
Well, yeah.
But here's the thing. That's high praise for my Nana, because she was a amazing cook. Yeah. I am almost amazing cook. I'm actually a very, very good cook, just not a Nana cook, because I don't love to cook. I like to cook when I feel like cooking, is how we'll put it.
Gotcha.
I'm not like, oh, I want to cook so much. I am a fast New York cook, not a Southern cook.
Gotcha.
If I'm in the kitchen more than 30 or 40 minutes, it had better be Thanksgiving or Christmas. And still, that's too much. It's just too much.
Yeah. What about baking? Same thing?
Yeah, I'm okay. But I'm okay enough to do. I know a lot of my grandmother's recipes, and I've learned them to the fact where I don't have anything written down. She didn't write things down. I wish she had passed. But I can do things from scratch. Like I can do her peach cobbler. I can make crust. I can do I can do all that stuff. So
very cool.
Okay. Like in as good as the first time, there are some decent recipes which are okay. They're actually pretty tasty. Drove me crazy to actually try to measure them out, and I think that was a mistake. But they were her recipes and modified for that, and they were pretty good. So it's really
Nana recipes are notorious for not having things written down.
Nothing written down, not a thing, a thing written down. So those recipes are modifications of her recipes, and some from my husband's like family kind of things, and trying to do that drove me banana cakes, but I did it. And I'm not a bad cook, but I don't like, I'd rather have takeout, a quick steak. Just something like, yeah, no. It's like, but I'm actually a pretty good cook. I'm a decent baker. I can do all of that, but I'm a very fast, I'm a fast talker, a fast cooker, a fast everything. But it all turns out pretty good.
Well, there you go.
Which is amazing. But
as long as you can feed yourself and it tastes good, then you're generally okay.
It's all very good. And that series, it's a lot of good food in it. All infused with a little bit of honey, because my hero is a beekeeper who makes organic. He's a firefighter beekeeper, and he does organic honey, and it's very interesting. It's a fun series, and give the recipes a try. The pecan, the little single pecan cobbler things, those are delicious.
Right.
Absolutely delicious. I would give them a go. And that's a fun series about I sort of modeled it after, it's sort of a fish out of water kind of series, a little bit like that movie Doc Hollywood. Do you remember
Right.
that movie? Which I love. I love movies. Sort of like that, but with a woman going back to a town kind of thing.
Right.
And
very cool.
So yeah, it's a good one. It's a good
Excellent.
one. Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, so DeLorean is saying that they're having a hard time putting pictures into the comments. So what we'll do, if anybody wants to put a picture in, they're going to send them to DeLorean and we'll share them here. So we'll see if anybody sends any pictures. And if they send them before we finish talking, then we'll show them. If not, then they'll be on there for the next time. We'll figure out a way to get them on there. So if you want to show us what you have to show and tell, and then we'll go from there.
Show and tell. What I was thinking for show and tell, well, my kind of idea, I know with the pandemic and quarantine and things like that, we all need our escapes.
Right.
And our breaks, our mental wind down. My thing to go somewhere else and get an escape has been K-dramas, Korean dramas, and K-pop has been my lovely escape. I love it. People who don't know K-pop, or who do love K-pop, will probably know BTS has been sort of the gateway for people in America. I love BTS. I love GOT7 and all that, and that has been the funniest thing. I'm the mom who bought K-pop to my daughter, which is hilarious.
There you go.
Which is kind of funny. My daughter, right before the pandemic happened, my daughter and I were lucky enough, because sometimes mothers and daughters really can bump heads, and my daughter and I can really bump heads. We had such a wonderful bonding year, the year before all this, over K-pop. We got to go to tons of concerts. We got to see BTS, group GOT7, and a group Super M, all in 1 year to go to these concerts, which was so much fun. And I think, you know, such a wonderful thing to share together, because who knew the world was going to, you know, to this whole huge mess of a thing, to have this together. I remember we were seeing GOT7 together, and we were up in the rafters, and I am, you know, the little bit of the songs I'm screaming and yelling, and we got light sticks, and I had my light sticks, and I'm yelling and screaming like this, and the people around us, they're saying, it's like, your mom's so cute. It's like, did you get your mom here? And she's like, no, my mom got me here.
That's great. That's fantastic.
So, that's my thing. And then we got to see BTS at the Meadowlands. I got a BTS light stick.
There you go.
So I called my daughter. So I was fanning myself. Here's one of my fans. I also collect my little dolls.
There you go.
I am really a 50-something-year-old trapped in a, you know, I'm 50-something, but I'm really 14. Let's just say.
I completely understand how that works.
These are my little desk buddies to keep me motivated. And
there you go.
This is what I do. This is my escape. I have a lovely friend. My lovely friend sent me as a gift a GOT7 whistle, and she says,
I was going to say, what is that? I don't know what that is.
That's a whistle for a concert. It's a GOT7 whistle. And she sent it to me today with a note, and she says, I hope, you know, when the world is back together, you can blow this at your next concert.
Oh, that's awesome. I've been to probably, I can't even tell you how many concerts. I've never seen a concert whistle.
This is a whistle. GOT7's their little thing is a bird, a baby bird, and it's a bird whistle.
Oh, that's cool.
So I just was so excited. And, you know, it's like, my husband sort of like, he'll come up to my office. This used to be my son's room. It's now my office. And I've got all this memorabilia around. And you know what? It makes me happy. And I feel like at this time of my life, we need things to be happy.
At any time in people's lives.
I'm not ashamed of it at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
It keeps me up. It keeps me going. I need a little mental wind down so I can write my joyful, happy books.
Yeah.
And that's what I do.
There you go. I like it.
My daughter's like, what are you doing? I'm like, you haven't seen the new BTS video yet? What is your problem? You need to hang up the phone with me right now, see it, and then report back. You're not being a good fan. These are the type of conversations I have with my daughter right now. She's like, what kind of mom are you? I said, I'm being a very good mom. Goodbye.
That's hilarious.
That's
fantastic.
That's my thing that sort of has that, and watching lovely 16 and or 30 something episode K-dramas or Chinese dramas that are total escapes, fantasy, super tropey. These are the things that have really helped me to. I watch a lot of the news, but it's helped me to turn from the news sometimes and just let my mind go somewhere else to not feel completely overwhelmed, because otherwise
I get it.
It can be a little bit too much.
I get it.
You all need to find a little something that just lets you just decompress sometimes, and that's my decompression.
Well, there you go. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, so how about you? What is your mental breath?
Yes, I color a lot, which I didn't even think about it. I should have grabbed some of my coloring books.
Yeah.
I have way more coloring books now than I ever had as a child.
That is wonderful.
Like, for real. And I have the 256 set of crayons that's on the spinner.
Don't you love that? Oh, on a spinner? I'm jealous. I'm so jealous.
And so I do that a lot. When I've had a rough day, when I've had a really rough day, like my people in my family know that if I'm coloring and listening to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack, just to like walk past me and leave me alone because I just need some time.
Oh, I want to listen to the soundtrack because I can sort of hear the epic music in my head. That's wonderful.
The rising and then and then the tension and then the tension breaks. All of that helps you work through your stresses. Well, for me, it helps me work through my stresses. So I listen to the Lord of the Rings soundtrack while I color, and that's how I deal when I've had a rough day. But just for something fun to do, I've always loved flowers, like my whole life. It's a thing. And so a couple of years ago, I started making wreaths. And so I'm going to share my screen. I was going to go get a couple of my wreaths, but they are buried on my back porch and I can't really get to them right now. So I'm going to share my screen. I have a couple of pictures of them.
Oh, I see.
So I'm going to share my screen, and it might take a second for it to show up. So just let me know.
Oh my goodness. Jennifer, they're gorgeous.
So these are just 4 that I've done. I have a bunch of them, but
goodness, they're amazing.
Here, let's move. We'll put you and me right in the middle here. So
Goodness.
This one here, I had actually in my house for a very long time because that was the one that I had in my hallway. This is what we had on the door for Christmas last year.
Beautiful.
And both of these I actually made for other people. This, my friend Lynn has that on her door. And this one I sold. I actually made, and somebody in town bought it. I put it up on Facebook and somebody bought it. But these are just a couple of the ones that I made.
These are gorgeous.
Year. So we'll stop sharing.
You're a wreath magician. Those are beautiful. You should be selling those.
I really like it. I think
those are beautiful. I want to read. You should, when you start selling again, please let us know because those are beautiful. Those are gorgeous. You've got your color eye is amazing.
Well, thank you. I actually have an album on my Facebook page that says my wreaths, and all of the ones that I've made I've put in there. Just as I make them and I post them. Some of them, like I said, some of them I've sold, some of them I've given away, some of them were my own personal ones. I just like doing them. They're so much fun. I love flowers. They make me smile.
It's so nice to have something else to just concentrate on that's different, and when you're putting together different colors and and the feel of things, isn't it wonderful? This is hard to see here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a watercolor, but it was actually from a coloring book, but I ended up I ended up doing it with watercolor of just little vines and little birds inside it. So I just went and got one of those, just one of those little $5 coloring books, with the heavy paper, and I got little watercolor paints, and I did it with that.
Very cool.
That and just markers, the little thin markers for outline, and I did. Sometimes I'll do that to sort of get my mind ready, and it's a great thing to do. I learned this from Farah Rashan, my friend. to do just for a few minutes before I start writing, to,
Well, there you
as a
go.
pre-write,
Get your
just to
creative
not
juices
get your creative juices flowing, to not just be staring at the screen, but to do that for a few minutes to just sort of clear your mind and do that
Very
for a
cool.
little
She's
bit,
so smart.
and then start to write. Yeah, and it really does help. It definitely
Very cool.
like okay, now you're in the right headspace. You're not just going from CNN to this.
Yeah, exactly.
You might not be writing the most loving words if you do that. So let's
yeah,
get
that's
into
not
a
the
nicer
energy
head.
you want to bring.
No, it's not.
Okay, so we're going to be having a watcher, reader, viewer share their creativity with us here shortly. I just got notification that somebody wants to share, so we're gonna wait for. I don't know how long it's going to take for the ping to happen, so we'll wait for the ping and then we'll see what they have to show off.
Excellent. Whoever comes or whoever watches this, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So we have the Real Men Knit is the first book in that series. We talked about the Sugar Lake series. What other series do you have for our reading challenge?
I've got a few others. I've got my Creative Heart series. The first book in that is Through the Lens, and then there's Seductions Canvas, and Threads of Desires. This is one of my first series. It's a very sexy series, and I call it the Creative Heart series because all the heroines in this series are in the creative arts. Like this one is a photographer, this one's an artist, and this one is a fashion designer.
Nice.
A little something fashion designer. And it's all about them and the men that they love. And like I said, it's a pretty sexy series, but it's one of my absolute favorites. And so I've got that one. Then I've got the Sugar Lake series, and then I have this one is my Unconventional Bride series. You got the Bedding Vow. I think I got this. Oh yeah, Insert Groom here is the first one, and then To Me I Wed. And the Unconventional Brides it's a really funny, also sexy rom-com series about unconventional brides. Like this bride gets jilted on live TV by her fiance, like the Today Show weddings, how they would do that, and they would compete. Her fiance says, "Nope, I'm not marrying you," and she's got to find another fiance, like through on live TV through a matchmaking service. So it's really funny and like poor thing. And this one, To Me I Wed, is actually just like that. She is tired of her her family pestering her about getting married and things like that. So she decides to throw a wedding for herself. She's going to marry herself. And everyone thinks she's nuts.
Okay then.
Yeah, and I actually found it out from a Huffington Post article about a bride who was marrying herself. And she throws a wedding for herself and ends up falling for the caterer who thinks she's an absolute loon to do it. And it's really a funny, great story, and also another sexy one. And the Bedding Vow is sort of a Married at First Sight kind of situation, that show Married at First Sight.
Right.
And this one ended up on NPR's Great Reads list. And
cool.
And it's another fun one. And these two have a bet that they were married at first sight kind of thing. And they have to get married and stay married for a certain length of time in order to each get what they want. So it's sort of a marriage of convenience kind of thing, and their love story. So that's my other series. So that's sweet. So that's what I've got going.
Excellent. Well, I think Tina,
as you can see, I don't have the longest attention span. I'm like, you get 3 or 4 books per series from me, and then I'm done.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, and then my first Bounce. And this is more women's fiction-y, and Bounce Back, which is a married couple in these books. So they're women's fiction, but it's really married couple from New York, and they're really, really good.
Oh, cool.
And this one won the Golden Leaf, my first one. And I was shocked. It's my self-help series, and it won a Golden Leaf, and I love it.
Very cool. Very cool. Which is why it has a place of honor on the wall behind your head.
Which is why, yes, that's why it has the, I don't know. That's why it has the place of honor, because it was one of my first, and everyone in the world rejected it, and I was pretty shocked when it actually won an award. I was like, what?
You know what? If it's meant to be, it will happen. I was hoping that we would have Tina here. I know. I don't see her face yet, but I do. Oh, there
Oh,
she
there she is. Hi, Tina.
There she
Hear
is.
me?
I can hear you.
See
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Yeah, I was watching you, so I was trying to stay silent until you were ready for me so that I wouldn't get the echo.
There you
So,
go.
hello, it is very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Thank
So
you.
I'm not going to leave you out there by yourself. I actually, for this year, we taught ourselves we said to do something personal for Christmas. So I taught myself how to knit. So I was going to show you a couple of things that I knitted. And so we got a couple of hats that we have here that we knitted.
Those are gorgeous.
Thank you. And then I did a cowl for my sister that you actually put on like this and it's wrapped around your neck. I'm not going to
Look
put
at
it
how
on.
fancy you are.
And then
Check
I
you
did
out.
a chunky blanket.
All right,
and
I have to ask you what kind of stitch that cowl is so I can steal it and try to do a quick cowl. Oh my
I tell you what, it's a combination of pearl and just a regular knit stitch. And what I will do is send you the video that I learned off of. How's that?
I love it.
So I did that,
Yes.
and then I did some hand knitting for some chunky blankets that I gave Delorian the pictures to that she could post later. But
I
them
love
right
it.
here.
real women knit too.
Real women
Yeah.
definitely knit. Can I ask, did you learn to knit from, how did you learn? Did you learn from videos?
Yes, I did from YouTube. I actually had a friend who showed me on knitting needles, and I kept my stitches kept having babies, right? So my scarf would go like this. So I was like, forget it. There's got to be an easier way. So then I went and did videos and learned how to loom knit, and that is how I learned and how I created all of my Christmas gifts last year.
Oh, so you did the loom knit off of the YouTube. Those are so cool.
Yep.
I love it.
I
Those are
love-
beautiful. See,
I'm about
lucky family.
I'm about to share while you guys are chatting. I'm going to share my screen again because I've got some pictures of some other things that Tina made. So I'm going to share this
Oh,
right
cool.
here and we'll go through it. So let me pull this up. You guys tell
You
me
got
when
me
you
wanting. Oh, look at that! You got me wanting to loom knit. Now I need to. Oh, these are
Infinity
beautiful.
scarf, number 2. Woohoo!
Oh, look at that!
And that was when I was starting it. Because these are very difficult for me and that's Infinity scarf number 1. Once I got the stitching down, I didn't know how to close them up, but then I figured it out. And then
those are great. See, I've never learned how to loom knit. I just do it on the needles, but those are so cool.
Oh,
And the hats you do on the loom too, cool.
Once you do them on loom, you're gonna love it.
Oh,
and those are my chunky blankets that I gave away for Christmas.
Very nice. I learned my all my needle knitting I learned on YouTube too. YouTube is the best.
Yeah,
YouTube
but they don't
really
get rid of the babies, so I had to do something different.
You can get rid of the babies. You can do it. You can get rid of the babies, but you can't. It's very hard to. I do have a hard time watching my K-dramas and knitting because you can't read subtitles in it.
Yeah,
you can listen to books in knit, but you can't read subtitles in it.
Definitely. I definitely find it easy to pick up things that I drop when I'm loom knitting as opposed to needles. So look, I got to stick in my lane, stay in my lane, But it was great that you had the real men knit because I taught myself a real women knit too.
We absolutely do. We absolutely do. Oh, thank you for sharing. That is wonderful. Oh, I have to share. Oh, and I crochet a little bit too. I didn't share this. This is my little crochet pillow that I made.
Very nice.
Cool. Thank you. My first thing I did learn was crochet from my grandmother. My grandmother was a big crocheter, and she taught me how to crochet first. And I sort of kind of forgot it, but I picked it up again, watching my friends crochet. So I crochet and knit, but I knit a little bit more now. But I love crochet also. So
very cool.
Yeah. Like I said, I love any handicraft. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Tina.
Miss
And thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for sharing.
Bye.
Bye.
And we have actually, Delorian had learned this year, taught herself how to do some things. She and a group of friends got together and made some Christmas ornaments for a friend of theirs who had their tree, all of their tree Christmas, well, their whole house got flooded and destroyed. And that included all of their Christmas things. So they got together and everybody made some handmade ornaments to send to them to start their new
sweet.
Christmas.
So that's lovely. That's so nice.
I'm gonna share my screen again. Delorian has become a bead and sequin ninja. She's made all kinds of stuff out of beads and sequins.
Let me see it.
But
This sounds like totally my thing.
Yep, hang on just a second. Let me get here, share. Okay.
Oh my goodness. How much fun is that?
So she did that one. She's got a couple different variations of that same idea with different designs and different colorings, but it's still that same general idea with the pins and
That
the beads and the
is
sequins.
So, Lorianne, I hope you're going to give a class on this.
And then she did this with buttons.
Oh, how cute is that? A button reading. I'm crying. It's so cute.
And then these.
Oh, you get out of town.
Aren't those great? And these aren't even all the ones that she made. These are just a couple, I think, that she had some pictures handy on.
So, Lorianne, can't you come to my crafty corner on the 22nd and we do that? It's very hard to knit something in my amount of time. Can't we just do that together? That looks so cute. I want a little picturesque thing. I want to know how to do that. That is so
Hang on. She just sent one more. Wait till you see this one. Hold on.
Oh, I'm screaming.
Okay. Hold on. Let me go.
Oh, these
is it gonna come?
I want a button.
Hang on, let me try this
I
again.
just bought a bunch of buttons too. The pearls.
It looks like a shell.
Oh.
Isn't that pretty?
I'm gonna pass out. These are the cutest.
Isn't that pretty? So that is her crafty endeavor for the time being.
My goodness, we're gonna have to talk off screen about this crafty segment because I'm still brainstorming this, but this is amazing. This is wow.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Wow, super cool.
All right, my dear. So we are almost at the hour mark.
This has been so much fun.
I know, it has been fun.
I just love talking about any kind of thing, and when you get me talking about crafts and
well, we'll do that.
Crafts and cuteness, and we can call it crafts and cuteness.
Not a whole lot better than that.
No, there's not.
No. So we'll wrap up with what do readers have to expect from you? You got anything coming up before the end of the year, and also before
the end of the year? That is in 15 minutes, so 15 days. So no.
All right,
which is 15 minutes away. No.
How about before Coastal Magic? You got anything happening before February, the end of February?
No, I do not, unfortunately, before February. So before February, just read all my other books if you have. How about that?
We got plenty of time to do that. All right, so how about what else for the next year?
And if you haven't read Real Men Knit, please read Real Men Knit. Next year, it's probably in edits now, but it's so strange because this year everything sort of went into flux and things got moved around.
Everything's all wonky.
All wonky. So Real Men Knit 2 is now unfortunately moved, and not next year. It's going to be the following year. Unfortunately. But next year, hopefully still slotted. It's turned in, but things are being moved. I've got Come Back to Me sidekick.
I was gonna say, you got Keanu? What?
I've got Keanu. Late next year, I've got How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days.
Is that really the book?
That's really a book. That's really a title. That's really a book.
Fiction.
That's really a book that is coming out next year from Forever, from Hachette, from Forever.
Nice.
And it's really a book. It's really a book. It's with an editor, so it's got slotted.
Okay, so basically what we need to do is get Keanu to read the book and then let us know if all of those things are correct.
We shall see.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah. It's actually a book. I mean, we'll see what my editor says. It's all about. It's quite a few.
We need to get it on Ellen or something.
With quite a few star-studded cameos throughout it. And it's all about being in love with a star, but maybe finding your love very close to where you're at. But that's really the title of the book. And it's very much about Keanu. and
Very
with
cool.
lots of
I
other
think we
star-studded
should
cameos.
we should petition to get you on Ellen to talk about the book, and then she can bring Keanu Reeves out.
I'm getting hot. Stop it. Now I gotta start finding myself a tie again. I can't think that far. I cannot. The fact that the way, I'll quickly say, the way this book came about was I saw a tweet that said, and this is no longer happening because right after this happened, then the whole COVID thing happened. But what happened was the next John Wick and the next Matrix were supposed to come out next year on the same day. And when I saw that tweet, I sent a tweet that said, "Oh, note to self, don't put your book out on May whatever, because that's Keanu Reeves Day and nobody's going to be paying attention unless your book is that How to Marry Keanu Reeves in 90 Days rom-com." This is just me talking off the top of my head. And then after I said it, I was like, oh. And people were like, yeah, that's great. You should write that. And I was like, oh, maybe that's a book. Oh. And then I called my agent. I was like, oh, I think I opened my big mouth again and did something. He's like, you're always doing that. You should stop tweeting. You're always doing that. And he's like, that's a really good idea. And then I called my friend. My friend was like, everybody loves Keanu. I called my mother. My mother's like, you know how much I love Keanu. Like, everybody from my daughter to my mother to my friend, everybody loves Keanu. My mother's like, I was just watching, and she calls everything I was just watching the John Wick. I was just, So my agent goes, put me together an idea like now. And I was like, what? He's like, right now. And I did, like right then. And then he sold it like the next day.
Very cool.
And I was like, cool. What? Now I have to write that book. And that's how it happened.
Oh, darn.
So
darn.
It's and they actually took the title from the tweet. And
nice.
That's the book.
Nice. I like it. I'm here for that for sure.
There's 90,000 words of How to Marry. It's actually a very funny road trip romance.
Cool. I like it. I like it. There we go.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I would pass out. I can't think that far.
Thank you and Keanu for joining us tonight.
Keanu says, you're breathtaking, is what he says.
Aww. And he would say something like that too.
He would absolutely say something like that.
Well, thank you very much. It has been a joy.
So much fun. Thank you. This has been such a thrill and so much fun.
Very cool. I'm glad you had a good time. We have, for the readers, if you have not already checked it out, you need to go check out Kwana's posts in the reading challenge. She has a couple of posts up. She has her introduction video up. Couple informations about different contests that are happening. You can win some prizes. You can find cool books to read. So definitely go check all that out. What you have the Owl Bookmark, and what else is going to be the grand prize?
Yep, I've got, well, the other two posts, if you leave some comments on the other two posts, I've got a couple of prizes there. And for the grand prize for this one, I've got a signed copy of Real Men Knit, the Owl Bookmark, plus a $20 Amazon gift card too. Woo! So that's the grand prize. So all right, there you have it. I'm sorry, Keanu stays with me. He's my inspiration.
We understand.
There's that. So yes, but also check out the other posts, because there's other opportunities to win prizes there. So we've got all sorts of fun, and this has been great. And please, everybody, wear your mask, social distance, stay safe, because I hope to see you all in 2022 in person. We can have a great time.
All right. Well, thank you so much, my dear, and we will see you next time.
Yes, next time.
Hang on.
I'll keep smiling.
Okay.
It's still recording, but it's not live.
We have ended the live stream, and now we're going to stop recording.